Hey everybody, Danielle Hargenrader here, and welcome to another episode of Unleash Your Inner Diabetes Dominator. Today, I'm really excited to be interviewing two people, a team of awesome people who are working hard to add value to the diabetes community. So I'm going to read you their bio, and we're going to get right into the story. So Hannah and Aaron are the co-founders of Sproutel. Am I saying that right before I even go in that? Is that right? Sproutel?
Got it. Yeah.
Awesome. Sproutel, where they create toys that teach kids about their health. After meeting at Northwestern University, they started working together to create Jerry the Bear, an interactive teddy bear that helps children diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Both Hannah and Aaron have mixed backgrounds in engineering, design, and art, and have been recognized by the White House as one of 50 honored makers. So Hannah and Aaron, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
You're good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so let's get right into the story. We chatted just a little bit off air, and as people watch this know, I generally don't know the people that I'm interviewing, so let's get to know Hannah and Aaron together. So give me a little bit of background on what got you guys interested in working in the diabetes space, especially with helping kids and their health.
Yeah, so for me, growing up, how I learned about the diabetes is actually around type 2 diabetes. So both my grandparents and my father have type 2 diabetes. And when I was young, my dad had to go through a really drastic life change to learn about healthy diet, healthy lifestyle. And as a family, we learned that it's not an individual effort, it's actually a whole family effort. So we also learned about healthy diet and healthy lifestyle, and got to understand my dad a lot, but it really changed our whole family to be very supportive to each other. So that's how I learned about diabetes, and also working in Jerry, learned more about type 1 diabetes also, and with kids, and started working in Jerry to support all those people as I think about my dad sometimes.
Cool. And how about you, Aaron?
Yeah, and when I was a child, I actually had something called human growth hormone deficiency. And so when your body doesn't produce enough growth hormone, it's another type of endocrine disorder. And so for about 5 years, from middle school to high school, I would take a shot every day to grow. And it's interesting, reflecting back, I never realized how much of an impact it had on me as a kid. And it wasn't until we were writing our first grant application for Jerry that I actually ever told anybody that I experienced this. It was something that I would be really uncomfortable about on sleepovers. And the more that we learned about the type 1 community, the more real resonance I had in kind of relating to a lot of the stories that they had. And so I get very empowered to see kids using Jerry for some of the same reasons that Hannah was saying, right? Because it speaks to these, both of these past experiences that we've had, and puts a smile on faces of kids who are going through some difficult stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we had also mentioned off air that, a lot of, well, for me, when I was diagnosed, there was no internet, there wasn't any amazing websites. And as far as I know, although I don't think my mom ever looked for one, not a dig on her, she was the best thing that ever happened to me as far as my diabetes care goes, and still to this day. But I don't think there were any toys out there, that showed kids with diabetes that was normal, so to speak, that there wasn't anything necessarily wrong with them. It was just, a unique thing, like a thing that you have that maybe some kids don't. But I think that's what Jerry the Bear probably offers to a lot of kids and their parents, is peace of mind, is the feeling of not being alone, and also the feeling of just community. So I would love to hear about how the idea of Jerry the Bear came to fruition. That's kind of what I want to know.
Yeah, so when Hannah and I were actually both in school, we saw it was the Diabetes Mind blog put out a challenge: how might we improve the lives of people with type 1 diabetes? And so that kind of kicked us off into talking to families and talking to kids. And we saw that a lot of kids were taking care of their stuffed animals as if they also had diabetes.
I love it.
Really interesting. Now that we are more versed in play and kind of understand childhood development, they were using imaginative play, right, to act out all of these things that were going on in their lives that they didn't have control over. And this was a way of kind of gaining that back in some sense. At the time, we thought that this was really cool. We were like, wow, this is neat. If kids are already doing this, how do we bring that play behavior to life? And how do we do it in a way that's educational? And when we first started this, education was our primary goal. And the more that we've done this, and the more that Jerry's actually reached children, we realized that comfort and empowerment are really the best results of Jerry, because children are able to relate to Jerry in an empathetic way and understand, as you were saying, why is all of this happening? There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with Jerry, right?
Right, exactly. So So a little bit deeper though, because I mean, I do have a bit of a systems brain that we talked about. So from the ideation of Jerry the Bear to physically holding Jerry the Bear, what was that like?
Yeah, that wasn't like a really easy transition.
I didn't think it was. That's why I asked.
Yeah, so Aaron has mentioned about the competition diabetes mind. So once you get the insight, the thing that we really produced was a drawing of Jerry the Bear, just one front view of Jerry, and we submitted that idea, and we won the most creative prize. And we, at that time, we were just learning about design and this concept generation. So we thought we have the great idea possible without building anything. And then, the more we learn about design and the process, we realize if you don't make anything physical, this idea really haven't left the shelf. And initially, we were both studying mechanical engineering at the time. Aaron later made his own major in mechatronics, and he kind of left my department and he went to his own. But that's a sidetrack. But we went to one of the best professors possible with that drawing and asked, do you have any graduate students who can work on this? So we were actually looking for people who can build this. And this professor kind of looked at us and said, you guys are engineers, why don't you guys build it? And he kind of gave us this book called How to Make Things Talk. And that kind of like the push that you guys are starting engineering, why don't you guys build it? And he offers some ideas about you can take independent studies paired with a mentor and kind of work on the first prototype. And that's kind of how we kicked off the building phase. Of course, the first prototype didn't come out as pretty as it looks. It had blinking Furby eyes, hard foam model, and it was really difficult to hold. Like the head might fall off sometimes. And it took us 10 weeks to build. And of course, in the first testing session, this child was so excited to see Jerry the Bear, to see this. He kind of shared all the things possible that was wrong about the prototype. But even in that testing session, even though the prototype wasn't the perfect prototype to test, the idea of Jerry was still resonating to the child, that he was waiting for a few weeks, just waiting to see this Jerry the Bear. So that kind of fueled us to build more and more. But it took us a while to get to the first building phase, for sure, for us to learn about design, actually acting upon it. It kind of needed some push and encouragement to get there.
Yeah, so very cool. And so, and just from my own business background and knowing about, I know that's why I asked about, how long it took to get from, and 10 weeks, I think, is actually a pretty decent turnaround time. And I also think getting that feedback from that child was probably, and I'm guessing is one of the most invaluable amounts of feedback that you could possibly get directly from the person who you're trying to help. So that's really great. So after you got that feedback, and I mean, from now, where you are now, like, how did you, I guess, get in touch with, I know Beyond Type 1 is selling Jerry the Bear and also has a really great opportunity for you to get one and also give one. So what was the process, or what was the road that you took, like, to decide how you would get Jerry the Bear out to the diabetes community that needs Jerry?
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting. The story that Hannah described of like giving ourselves that 10-week goal, right? That was prototype 1. But before we ever shipped a bear, and our first bears we shipped in 2013, we had tested 29 different versions of Jerry with over 350 kits.
Wow.
So what that looked like was Hannah and I going to conferences like Children with Diabetes, dressed in full bear suits, a picnic blanket, and literally having play sessions with Jerry the Bear and with kids. And so Jerry in its entirety was designed hand in hand with children and with parents, with all of our end users. And similarly is to like the iterative process of building Jerry, because it morphed from, as Hannah said, this big bear with blinking eyes to a bear with a little screen in its belly, to a bear with actually an Android tablet in its stomach, to the bear that we have now. So a lot of iterations, right?
This is the first bear that we shipped.
Whoa!
This is the current Jerry the Bear. It's a pretty big, drastic.
I have to say, and probably only people who are my age will get this, but that first one reminds me a lot of Teddy Ruxpin. Yeah. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah. All the time.
That was like one of my favorite childhood toys, so that's awesome. But yeah, no, I love it. I like to see the two side by side, the before and after, so to speak. So yeah. So tell me more. I was like, so with all the children that you were designing this with and all of the feedback that you were getting, I know this might be kind of hard to answer, but what was it that you found that, I mean, you said comfort, but that the kids gave you as far as the feedback? Like, what was the one thing that you that you know that was the game changer between prototype 1 and the one that's out now that is really going to be the thing that helps the kids kind of have that feeling of comfort and have that feeling of community?
Yeah, so I think that there was one really big insight that we had. So we had done all of these prototypes, right? And then we decided to do an alpha production run of 10 bears, which basically means we built boards here in the States. And then literally our office was an assembly line where we were spray painting plastic parts. We were sewing bears together.
Wow.
With foods. And then we sent those bears out for, we did like 1 week take-home tests. And what we saw is that newly diagnosed children engaged really, really heavily over the week. But children who had been diagnosed 6 months to a year out, they played really intensely for the first few days and they dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our insights was that we needed a story to place Jerry. Why is he here? Why is he in your home? And like, where is he from, right? To prolong that engagement. And so what that ended up transitioning into was us developing a series of 21 animated storybooks. So you actually train Jerry for the All-Star Games. You visit friends like Momo the monkey, George the shark, Penny the penguin, and learn things like tree climbing, diving, ski jumping. And in each of these books, there's a diabetes lesson. So we're able to walk kids through hypoglycemia, symptom identification, the 15-15 rule, carbohydrate counting, which we teach symbolically, but all really through fun and all through play. And so that was kind of one of the big insights that we learned from children that really cascaded our development towards the bear that we have now. And then another really big shift between of like, hey, why the heck did we go from this thing to this thing? So we had gotten some funding from the National Institutes of Health.
Awesome.
A little bit of research and to do some development on Jerry. And something big happened between 2013 when we shipped our first bears and now. And it's been kids, more and more kids getting CGMs.
Yes.
And so we saw so many children who now were carrying smartphones or hand-me-down phones from their parents so that their parents could see their Dexcom data or whatever their CGM data was when their kids are at school. And so the latest bear that we've partnered with Beyond Type 1 as one of our distributors is built for the phone. So it's all the same 21 animated storybooks. It's Jerry's World, but it's a bear that doesn't have, a custom smartphone that we built jammed into its stomach.
Okay. So just so I can be clear on this, the bear itself comes with, like, when someone gets the bear, they get these stories, this is all part of the bear package. Is that correct? Yep. Okay. And so the bear doesn't have, you said it doesn't have a smartphone in it, but it does interact with the smartphone that the kids have right now?
Exactly. So in the app, Jerry the Bear app, Jerry has his diabetes kit. So using that, it's in a tiny magnifying glass button. So using that, you can scan one of Jerry's special patches on the plush, and it brings up different kind of glucometer or insulin pen or pump that is necessary to kind of give those actions.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that you're able to show this. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's grab his hands. And now we get Jerry's meter.
Oh, look at that.
We could put the strip into the meter. And now we get his Lancet.
Lancing device. Oh.
We can go and prick one of Jerry's fingers and then go and we'll test him. We'll see what he's doing.
That is, I mean, obviously I'm not a child, but I feel like a child watching you do this. I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. That really is very cool. I kind of wanted Jerry the Bear, to be honest. I'm probably going to have to get myself one.
There's no age limit.
No, I don't think so. And I think
1 to 101.
Even my grandma, who is 83, likes Jerry the Bear.
Yeah, and I think that's really kind of an important point too, is kind of tied back to what I do and what I teach, is that I think one of the biggest issues that as we transition from childhood to adulthood, living with diabetes, and not just with diabetes, just as humans, we forget how important play is. We forget what an integral part of life that playing, letting go, being childlike is to our mental health. And because as children, it's hard to, we don't think about so much finances or our job or anything like that, the things that we think about as adults. But when we start having those thoughts all the time, diabetes becomes even sometimes more and more of a chore, because we're like, it's just one more thing on the list. And when you can turn that into play, I just think that something shifts in our mindset that allows us to soften a little bit. And I think that that's a really important aspect of what you guys are doing, is that you're bringing in a tangible play aspect to life with a chronic disease, which I think is incredibly important. So I'm excited about it. So have you, I mean, I know you said your grandmom likes it, but do you have adults that have given you feedback as well, other than me right now? I mean, I haven't held it yet, but I'm going to.
Not extensively, but we've had kind of edge cases of folks that have held it. And I know one, I guess Kerry, the first time we had given our bear to Kerry Sparling, who's a diabetes blogger, during a CWD trip, and she made Jerry, I think she gave Jerry a hypo, and then she instantly felt terrible. She was like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Like, gotta give him a glucose tablet.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really awesome thing that you're doing. And I think that there is, as child oriented as it is, I do think that there's definitely a sense of comfort that adults could find in having a Jerry the bear of their own, or kids even taking it, transitioning into adulthood with it, and instead of seeing it as a relic of their childhood, seeing it as almost like a totem, like an anchor to their ability to play. And I think that's awesome. So give a little background about, because so when people want to grab your Jerry the Bear, they can, I know that we can go to beyondtype1.org and get it there. Are there any other places where we'll see Jerry the Bear? Will he be in a store? Like, what are the plans as time goes on for Jerry?
So Beyond Type 1 is the place to grab the bears. We are excited about kind of continuing to distribute and see where that goes. I mean, Beyond Type 1 has been an incredible partner to bring Jerry to kids around the world. So I guess time will tell as to what kind of the future holds for our friend, but we're looking to, our mission is to see Jerry in the hands of every single child diagnosed. And kind of the mission that we're pursuing. Yeah.
In addition to that, Beyond Type 1 is working with other nonprofits and hospitals, and even families will bring their Jerry to local events and their own hospitals. So we hope to see more of, other partnered organizations to use Jerry in their program, and hope so that, the reach is bigger, and families can also be our champions for Jerry to really build the community like that. When I think about Jerry the Bear, with all the bears out there, you could build a Jerry forest, the forest full of bears. So hopefully we can see that like across the United States and the world. And I think the one thing I would love to see is when you go to big conferences, because we bring so many Jerrys, we see kids interacting with Jerrys and other kids with Jerry. But I would love to see more of that, where sometimes a child might hold Jerry, they're walking around, and might stumble upon another person, another child with Jerry, and make that connection. I haven't seen that yet outside of the conference realm, but there's something in the future I would love to see, and see what that kind of what kind of friendship might blossom from the kind of bear to bear interactions.
Yeah, it's definitely a connection tool, much like a CGM. I mean, like for me, like if I have my CGM, and if I'm anywhere and I see someone with a pump, I'm automatically like, hey, we're best friends. Obviously, like we both have diabetes, and it is a conversation starter, but it also is it's a connection point. So yeah, I really like that, and I like the idea of the bear for the kids, because it's it's something they can hold on to, something they can identify with, and that they can relate to other people with as well. So I mean, so before we talked, you kind of showed me that you're in your workshop, and I didn't ask too many questions because I kind of would do this now. So is this where you're sitting now, where Jerry is created?
Yeah, this is our inspiration cabin.
Okay.
We can take you on a little walking tour. If I can hold up, and
that'd be awesome.
So this is where we do a lot of our brainstorming.
Wow.
So all those Post-it notes are for some product designs. There's just a whole slew of products that will, different versions of Jerry, and different products that we'll use in a process we call body storming, which is where we act out different behaviors. So before we ever code anything, like somebody will be a child, somebody will be Jerry, somebody will be a parent, we act out the scene.
Very cool.
These are two of our teammates, Brian and Jewel.
Hi there, teammates.
These guys are building some incredible new features for Jerry's World right now, which we're really excited about. And then over here is, as we make our way across the office, we could see some of the prototypes that we were talking about. So this is actually that very first bear.
Whoa.
with the eyes that blink. As you can see, one of the things that we got horribly incorrectly is digits, not 3. And this is kind of the sequence. He got smaller and a little bit cuter.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where we could not make Jerry smile, nor could we give him shoulders. We figured that out, and then this is that big jump to the bear with the screen. This is where we have very fierce battles of Mario Kart.
That's part of any good ideation process, I think.
Sometimes we 3D print. So these are a little 3D printer. And this is our prototyping station. So we have a lot of circuits, wires, and also foam model things. This area gets really messy easily, so it requires constant cleaning. But it's also the most fun part of like making physical things when we do our product development.
Very cool. So you guys are obviously super passionate about this. I mean, you can literally walk through the workshop and see like where all of this love that you guys have for the product is coming from. Other team members in there working on it, and I just love that you share that with us, because I like to see where the magic happens. I think the environment where magic happens is very important, and I think that looks awesome. Do you guys? It looks like you have fun there. Is that?
Oh yeah, definitely? Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I think
have fun if you're making toys, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you guys are both so cheery. We're like, well, we make teddy bears, so.
How can you be upset with making teddy bears? Yeah, exactly. So but I've asked you a lot of questions. I was going to say, is there anything in particular that you would like the diabetes community at large to know about Jerry the Bear, about anything coming up, about any projects, anything, any news, or anything you'd just like to share just for the heck of it?
I guess we're really excited to hear more from Jerry users out there. If you have a bear that you're using, please send us your feedback, send us photos. Those are the things that get us up in the morning and get us really jazzed about the stuff that we're building. So if anybody has ideas of fun things they want to see or do in Jerry's world, games they want to play, this is the type of stuff that is super helpful.
Yeah, and I have to say that, guys, if you're out there watching, this is the kind of thing that, they're not just asking this, arbitrarily. These are people that are passionate, obviously, because I believe that people who are asking for feedback from the people who are going to use the product, that's where you need to come in. So what I'm going to do is always, I'm going to post the information below the interview under the YouTube and also on my blog, just so you can, if you want to send them some information, you want to just say, hey, you guys are doing awesome, or hey, here's an idea for Jerry the Bear, or thank you so much for taking away those really creepy blinky eyes, because that was my those eyes would have scared me. But no, I mean, I'm going to post all the information below, so you guys can contact Hannah and Aaron and let them know your feedback. And but otherwise, normally I ask, at the end of the interview, I'll ask people, what their top 3 tips for thriving with diabetes are. But since you guys don't have diabetes, I mean, maybe you could give us like top 3 tips for following your passion to bring something highly valuable to a community that could really benefit from it. I'm all about actionable items. Is that, and I, just so you know out there, guys, I'm totally putting them on the spot. I didn't send them this question beforehand.
Top 3 things.
Could be anything.
I think the most important part is you always have to listen first. You might have like a really good idea, but when you're designing something to help people, it's not about you, it's really about them.
Yeah.
So, being able to listen and trying to learn the problem and their problem first, instead of trying to kind of inject your own problem, is a really important practice. So I think that's a really important step for anything before jumping in to solve a certain problem.
Yeah, awesome. So maybe we'll just get 1 tip from Hannah and 1 tip from Aaron.
Yeah. And I guess my tip is about failure.
Okay.
In everything that fails, there's always a little bit of it that has succeeded, right? And so like in our first version of Jerry the Bear, as Hannah described, the child totally ripped the bear to shreds, right? We got the blood sugar wrong, its voice was garbled, we had forgot to make foods for it. It was so much failure. But the fact that as we were walking up to his house, his face was plastered against the door. The fact that he was excited for a week to see Jerry, well, that was our like 10% of success, that, the idea has something behind it, even if our execution of it was utterly terrible, right? So like look for the moments of success even in your worst failures.
I would have to say that those are 2 amazingly fantastic life lessons. Listen actively. But I just missed what happened with listening actively and failing forward. I think that is just, there's no person, diabetes or not, that can't take those lessons and apply them to their lives in some forward moving, progress oriented way. So if there's nothing else you guys would like to add, I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and share your ideas, and not just your ideas, but the amazing product that you've been able to bring from your brains into the real world in order to add massive value to children living with diabetes, to help them feel connected, and also to know that they can send their empathy to their bear, and also hopefully that reflects back on themselves, which I think is really what's happening. So I appreciate your time. And for everyone else out there, I'm going to post underneath this video all the ways you can get a Jerry the Bear, or you can, like I said, send ideas for things you'd like to see Jerry the Bear doing in the future, games that you'd like to see him playing, foods that you'd like him to be eating, etc. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today. I hope you learned something valuable, and I look forward to seeing everybody on the next episode of Unleash Your Inner Diabetes Dominator. Thanks so much, Hannah and Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.